Hey there, welcome to Authentically Raw. I'm your host, Jamie Berris. Picture this. I go to get in the shower this morning and we have two shower heads. My husband has his one shelf by his shower head with all of his soaps and razors and things like that. I have two shelves because I have a lot more stuff. And so we each have our own soap bars on our own shelves. I go to get in the shower, and as always, when his soap bar gets low, he just grabs mine. So I am continually grabbing a new soap bar and replacing mine, which, mind you, I prefer the fresh big soap bar. If he wants my half-used one, go for it. Not that we can't share. I could have hopped in the shower, used that soap bar from his shelf, and been just fine. But I went to get in the shower this morning, and like so many times, it was irritating. It was really, I have to be the one to always grab a new bar of soap. You always have to take mine. Can you not grab your own soap bar? I immediately then started to beat myself up. You're so mean. Why do you have to do that? So another story about that, though, is we have the soap dispensers by our sinks in the bathroom, his sink, her sink sort of thing. They are refillable. And when his hand soap runs out, he just switches it with mine. These messages in my head for years were, "You're my servant, you go fill these things." Okay, not a good thought, because I know he doesn't feel this way, and I know that is not his intention, but it's those little irritants that can really pile up inside of us. So I'm sure your head right now is filled with little stories of irritating people that do irritating things, right? Oh, I'm surrounded by them. I don't do anything irritating. Third story. And the reason why I'm actually telling this story, because it reeled me in this morning very quickly when I turned the shower water off, went and grabbed a fresh bar of soap for myself, and thought, good, thanks for the opportunity, because I like the fresh bar. You can have my half leftover. Go for it. Third story. In the beginning of our marriage, probably the first 15 years of it, I was that dutiful wife that collected everyone's laundry from the laundry room and went and put everyone's clothes away, my husband's, my kids, until one day I couldn't keep up after pretty sure baby number 4 was born. So Maya is 9 now. Probably the last 9-ish years, I have handed over a lot of the laundry tasks to the other kids, primarily the folding and grab your own stuff, put your own stuff away. I could care less if you shove it in your drawers. I don't care what you do with that anymore. I'm totally off. So this included my husband. So everything would be folded, sometimes by me, sometimes by usually, the older 2 kids. And I always said, put everybody's stuff in their specific piles. When we have some shelves in there, everybody has their own shelves. Well, occasionally there would be a random shirt, underwear, a sock, something like that from someone else in the middle of all of our stacks, correct? So my husband, he was really good. I'm going to grab my stack. He goes and he brings it back and he's putting away his stacks. Well, anytime there was an item from someone else, he would then just put it over like on my side of the closet. And again, in my head, I'm thinking, what? I'm your servant. So if this is my son's sock, I am in charge, or it's my duty to go put it away in his bedroom or go put it back in the laundry room. Like, you can't do this. Yeah, this is how I was speaking. And it was really irritating. And I never said anything. I would just do it, begrudgingly. And this resentment would start to build. So finally one day there was this sock. And for some reason, this one sock it just kept showing up in his stack of clothes. I don't know why it wasn't a pair. It was just one, but I was done. I'm not bringing this back to the laundry room. I'm not bringing it up to my son's room. You deal with it. So I threw it back on his side of the closet. He threw it back on mine. I threw it back on his, and we started playing this game. So finally, I'll be honest, I'm not sure which one of us started it, but one of us hit it in a spot that was funny. I specifically remember putting it in the pants of, like my husband's pocket pants that were, in his drawer. I don't know if he first started it and put it somewhere for me, but I do remember that day that I did that and just walking away laughing. And I remember thinking how good that felt. Instead of being irritated, I just grabbed that sock and threw it in the back pocket of his pants. Week or two goes by, and I open up my underwear drawer, and it is kind of, shoved between two pairs of underwears, all nice and neat, to where I actually didn't see it at first until I grabbed that, last top pair of underwear, and there it was. And so we started this game, and we would pass the sock back and forth. He would open up the lid on his iPad, and it'd be nice and smooth and flattened out. Or I'd somehow shove it in his wallet, or just these random places, and he would do the same thing to me. So a few months ago, I was with a friend, and we took a little escape down to Florida, and it was probably the third day that we were there. And I put on a sports bra. They have these little holes on the side that you can stick in, the pads that go in them. And I'm like, oh, this thing's all knotted up from the washer. So put my hand in there to try to smooth it all out. Lo and behold, there is the sock. So in that moment, I hope I don't get choked up, but what washed over me was such love and such connection. And this game now has been going on several years. And I think about how there are so many irritants in our lives, whether it's from, a spouse, your kids, your friends, just coworkers, family, whoever it is. And it reminds me of, in the moment they're irritating is one thing. Number two is how we conjure this message that all these irritants, how we conjure these messages in our heads that are so destructive to ourselves and our relationships. And once it just took one of us to turn a really irritating situation around into something fun and a way to show love, because standing there pulling that sock out of my sports bra, tears started flooding down my cheeks. We have 4 kids. Yes, 2 are in college now, but if there's any grown and flown type parents out there, they still require a lot of time and attention. And it is tough for one of us to get away. It's a lot of responsibility, whoever's left back at home. And he sends me off with a hug and a kiss and says, go, have fun. And I can honestly say, he's not doing things exactly like I would do if I was home. And 10 years ago, that would have drove me crazy, control freak. Yes. And there are still some things that if I call home and it's 9:00 and they're still up and I want to start saying, hey, they need to get to bed. What are you doing? See, this is why I don't leave. They're going to be grouchy. And I don't anymore. They let them have their connection. Let them have their love. And you know what he let me have? My freedom. Guilt-free. Because getting away, being on the beach, being with a friend, just being in my element, it is so rejuvenating. It is so life-giving. And I come home a better mom, a better wife, a better friend, a better person, and he gives me that gift. So if I were still irritated about the sock and I was still begrudgingly putting the sock back in the laundry room, I think of how different our relationship would be because of this sock. I thought this morning when I opened up the shower door and I started, in my head, oh my gosh, do I have to get the freaking bar of soap myself every time? You know what? If there was a day that I opened that shower door and I never had to grab another bar of soap, if there was a day that there was only one hand soap next to my sink and I pumped it and it was always full, or I looked over and his was always full, it was never switched out, and I didn't have that pump where air comes out, and I slam mine over to his side, and I, or his over to his side again, and I grab mine back. It's those little things of, do I always have to be the one to fill the soap? Do I always have to be the one to replace items around the house? I think of how if those little irritants were taken away from me, those would be the things I would miss the most. And then I think of every time how I can take those little irritants and I am the one that can make the change. I'm the one that can make something irritating into a tradition, a memory, something that binds me with someone else. So I encourage you today, as you're irritated, because you will be, because you're human, and there's going to be something that truly irritates me again today, but I hope I can let my own message sink in. If that little irritant was taken away, that's life, right? That is what is life-giving to me. And so a part of my life would be taken away. I don't want to be a bitter old lady. I don't want to hold grudges and resentments over soap and socks. So that's what I'm going to leave you with today. A few thoughts on that, about how you can change those irritants into loving opportunities to connect with those people that are important to you and that you love. So I'm rooting for you. Be real, be raw, be authentic. Thank you so much for being here as we kick off this podcast together. I really appreciate you joining me on this journey because I'm well aware you could be doing or listening to anything right now. Hey, if you enjoy the Authentically Raw content, please support the show by following, rating, and reviewing on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. You can also follow me on social media for daily inspiration. Head over to my website, jamieberris.com, to sign up for weekly transformation tips. Or if you're interested in coaching, I currently have 3 openings for one-on-one coaching. If you're looking for an empowering community, we'd love for you to join us in the Transformation Tribe, our group coaching membership. More info available on my website under the Life Coaching and Membership tabs. One last thing, I'm rooting for you. Be real, be raw, be authentic.